Hey guys, welcome to my first ever Naruto CCG Deck Profile. I figured with renewed interest in the game, with Discord servers and tournaments going on and stuff, even though I'm about 13 years too late, might be a good opportunity to dip my toes in a little bit. I run the Midwest ban list. It's the ban list we use in the current Discord server that I'm in. But I did originally start out with the untapped ban list, so when I can, I'll give you the appropriate changes that might need to happen to make each list possible with the decks that I preview. As always, you can check the description for an untapped deck list. I'll post the entire thing down there so that you can download it, upload it to Untap, and then get a full rundown of what the cards are, even though I'll be showing you here in the actual video. These decks are definitely my personal takes and my personal spins. I don't exactly play to perfect meta, but I do try to make each of my decks as competitive as possible while still fitting the kind of theme that I'm using. So if you're here for perfect meta, copy and paste, cookie cutter deck with the perfect net deck testing, you'll need to get it somewhere else, unfortunately. But I do like to go in depth with the mechanics and combos and rules. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where they kind of assume everybody has perfect knowledge and that they can just show all the cards and call it a day, 5-minute video, easy. But I actually like to get into the descriptions and kind of tell you what each card is for, what they kind of do within the deck, the combos that they can make, and the actual goals that you're trying to achieve. So if you're here for in-depth views, maybe an hour-long video, this is the place for you. But let's just get right into it. Jumping right into it, we'll start off with the turn 0 ninjas. It's already somewhat of a contentious pick, but I run 3 Sasori Childhood. Its effect is when your opponent wins any battle rewards, you can look at it or them. If there are one or more Puppet Ninja cards among them, you can reveal it or them and move it or them to the hand instead. Then move the rest to the battle reward area normally. He can also not be the user of Jutsu cards with the requirement Sasori. That is a detriment, not really anything you're going to be coming up against. So I liked Sasori Childhood's effect because in the early game, you can run into a few problems with the types of puppets you have and the type of manipulation cards you have. Puppets have a weird habit of not knowing whether they want their puppets to be frontlining as the head ninja or they want to be supporting as the back ninja, and that kind of translates over to the manipulation ninjas as well. So there could be a lot of times where your opening hand, even if you have a turn 0, or even a turn 1, might not really be able to stand up to your opponents. So I kind of find it's helpful to be able to let them swing, get a battle reward, and then check it for a puppet. Because if there is a puppet or even 2 in there, that's 1 or 2 draws potentially, which is kind of big in the early game. The way this is ruled, since in this game a can and a may effect is ruled differently, Sasori having the effect of you can look. That means it is only once per turn. But once per turn does mean once per instance. So if your opponent wins 2 battle rewards off of 1 fight, they have a team with a 5 or higher ninja, you do get to look at that entire instance, which is 2 battle rewards, and take any amount of them from that and activate it with his effect. So you could win. You could make 2-1 battle rewards into 2 draws for you, which I think is pretty nice. He also has a 2-0 combat, which is not the best for turn 0, but it's manageable. And he has manipulation, which is obviously helpful in working with your other puppets. The second turn 0 I run is Kankuro. A lot of people like to run this at 3, but the other Kankuro I run is pretty important later on, and I feel like this isn't totally necessary to draw until about turn 2, honestly. So this Kankuro's effect is valid, and it's on your mission phase. You can discard 1 manipulation or puppet ninja card from your hand. Ninja card means not on the field. Search your deck for a puppet ninja card, reveal it, and move it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is the main search in the early game. you're going to be wanting to discard for the entire deck's premise. But in the early game, you're going to want to search for a puppet as soon as possible to kind of boost your numbers and make sure you have the curve that you're going for. So Kankuro is going to typically want to search out a Black Ant to hopefully deploy on turn 1, but at the latest on turn 3. Once you have that, there's a father and mother puppet you're going to want to search, but I will get into those later on as they come up. Otherwise, Kankuro is also a 2-0, again, not the best. Also manipulation, just like Sasori, but also has Surge, which doesn't come up a lot. It's not my favorite mechanic, but Surge means that you can discard a card with the same name from your hand, so another Kankuro, to give this Kankuro on the field a +2/+2 during the exchange of Jutsu. So for theoretically 1-ish chakra, you can get a +2/+2, which is actually pretty good in the early game. Unfortunately, it can't make him a 5-0 swinging by himself, but if you do need to get over something, which might be possible because you have some puppets that might not get you up to a turn power 5, it can be a nice little boost that you might need. Third I run is Yaoki. He, like I was saying, is an 0-2. They don't exactly know if they want Puppet Masters to be in the back or the front. But he is another manipulation ninja. And his effect is, during the exchange of Jutsu, you can pay 1 of any colored chakra, and then move target Puppet Ninja into one of your teams on the battlefield to this ninja's team in any position. So this is helpful more so later on. But being able to pull a puppet away can be useful in the early to mid game when maybe something is about to be killed. A jutsu is about to go off that's going to kill one of the puppets that you really want to hang on to. You can pay the 1 chakra, pull this guy or pull that ninja into this guy's team and kind of save it because the jutsu no longer has a valid target. He is a sand ninja, which is helpful for the later themes of the deck. Otherwise, he's a genin and male, which isn't very helpful. Mostly, he's just here to be another turn 0 manipulation ninja. And for the first puppets of the deck, we have 2 Crow still on turn 0. His effect is valid. While you don't have a manipulation ninja, this ninja's power is 0/0. This effect cannot be negated. Obviously, it's supposed to be a negative. Second effect is also valid, which means you can still use it while he is injured. During the exchange of Jutsu, you can pay 1 wind chakra. If this ninja is in a team with a manipulation ninja, give 1 damage to target opposing ninja and then discard this ninja. That is an effect that you'll probably only want to use in dire situations. Discarding an entire ninja just to injure someone else is usually very bad. But there could be situations where there's an opposing ninja that you really, really want to give a damage to. Say it has a non-valid effect that you really want to get rid of, but you just can't beat over it. Maybe it's a back ninja or something. That is a situation where this can be very helpful. Otherwise, Crow is mostly here to be a puppet and is mostly here to have this 3 support, which is a very good support for turn 0 ninja and for any ninja, honestly. Some of the best supports in the game are just 4. So he's mostly here as a beat stick, just to get your stats up. But in the early game, he's pretty good, and he might come back again in the late game. And for the last turn 0s, we have 2 Salamander. He's another puppet. His effect is non-unique, which means you can deploy him while you have another Salamander on the field. So you could have these 2 on the field at the same exact time, even though they have the same name. A non-valid effect. While this ninja's team has a manipulation ninja, this ninja gets the following effects. So that means while this ninja is injured, he does not have any of this effect. This ninja's combat value is treated as its support value. So while it's in a team with a manipulation ninja, he's treated as having 2/2 instead of 2/0. When any of your ninjas would be injured or receive damage, you can give 1 damage to this ninja instead. That is a very powerful effect. If you know anything about pain decks, it's very similar to Giant Panda, but a little neutered, honestly. The main benefit of this is that by its wording, it allows you to turn any amount of damage into 1 damage for this ninja. So there could be a Hirudo going off that's going to deal 50 damage to your entire field somehow. This ninja will turn all 50 of that damage, since it's happening in 1 instance, into a single damage onto Salamander, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. It definitely will make your opponent think twice about just throwing off random damage jutsus, to the point where you might get more benefit by having this threat rather than having its effect actually go off. But otherwise, it's just a solid puppet, 0-2 if it's in a manipulation team. And yeah, with that effect, it's just very helpful to prevent damage that might be coming up. On to the turn 1s, we have 2 Black Ant. This is kind of the secondary main card of the early game. And his effect is non-unique, just like Salamander, so you can deploy a Black Ant while you already have one on the field. While this ninja's team has a manipulation ninja, this ninja gets the following effects. Similar to Salamander, sort of similar to Crow. Ninjas that battle this ninja cannot attack during their next turn. That's a pretty good effect. It can definitely screw with your opponent, forcing them to kind of reshuffle their teams into non-optimal positions. Say you block something that they really want to attack with next turn. Well, now they can't even, move it out of their team and into another team to kind of bypass this. None of the ninjas that battle this ninja can attack next turn. So that can just be a nice stall tactic. The main benefit of Black Ant is that he and Kankuro can squad into one of the most powerful squads in the game that I will get into when I talk about combos more and get to the later turns. But overall, Black Ant, pretty okay for a turn 1. He's going to be your main target for search from the Kankuro of turn 0, and you're going to want to get him out as soon as possible. Next turn 1 is the last Crow. Even though they're different cards, you can still only have 3 cards of the same exact name in your deck, so I can only run 1 of these because I had 2 on the turn 0. His effect is non-unique, which means I can deploy this one even if I have another Crow that was turn 0 on the field, but not vice versa. While this ninja's team has a manipulation ninja, this ninja gets the following effect. Familiar. When this ninja blocks, you can draw 1 card. This is a very good effect. Drawing is always one of the most important things in any card game. The more you have in your hand, the more options you have, which is the most opportunity cost you could possibly get to get advantage over your opponent. So drawing is always very nice. Just like the other Crow, he does have 3 support. It doesn't have 3 in the combat value, which is not as helpful. Like if you have Yaoki, that could be a power of 5 with the other Crow. But for your purposes, 0-3 is perfectly fine. Also Sand, also Puppet, more of the same. On to turn 2s, I only run 1. That's going to be Father and Mother. Probably the best turn 2 you could possibly get in Puppets. Its effect is, while this ninja's team has a manipulation ninja, this ninja gets the following effect. This ninja's team can block up to 2 teams. Now, it doesn't state that the 2 teams must combine their power when calculating the showdown for this battle. Perhaps there's been an errata or a ruling on this, but to my knowledge, there has not been, which means, to my knowledge, both teams are standalone against this one. You just get to do 2 battles with 1 team instead. There are other cards that do similar. There's a Gamaken Ninja Toad that does say you combine the values of the teams into 1, but this card doesn't, and as far as I'm aware, it never will. Its second effect is your Sand Ninjas are unaffected by your opponent's ninja and mission card effects. That is incredible. Almost every card in this deck is a Sand Ninja, save for Sakura, who is Leaf, and Sasori's, who are Rogue and Akatsuki. Every other card is a Sand Ninja, which means they are all protected from Ninja and Mission card effects. Ninja effects can be very detrimental. There are some that can outright kill you, some that make you into battle rewards. There are some that say, you can't battle, some that negate your own effects. More importantly, being affected by mission cards is a huge detriment because there are mission cards that can negate your abilities, that can prevent you from using jutsus, etc. So being unaffected by mission cards is incredible. Mission cards are some of the easiest ways to kind of neuter a powerful card that you have on your field. So getting this down as soon as possible and into a manipulation team is essential. One of the only ways to stop this from going off is to chain a negate mission onto this card as it is being deployed and as its effect is being put into effect on the field, because this card cannot be deployed into a team. Obviously, that's what happens during the organization phase. So the only time that this card, since it is also sand, is vulnerable is before it goes into a team with a manipulation ninja. So if you can prevent that at any cost, that'll be good. But for your purposes, you want to make sure that you can get this into a team as soon as possible. There are a few jutsus that can summon it directly into a team, which is ideal, but they are a little bit later. So most of the time you're going to be searching for this after you search for Black Ant with Kankuro, and you're going to be deploying it on turn 2 as early as possible. So I'm going to actually skip over a little bit here into one reinforcement card. It's one that I talked about a little bit earlier. And that's going to be Kankuro and Black Ant. So Kankuro and Black Ant is a squad, which means to bring it out of your reinforcement deck, you have to remove from play a Kankuro and a Black Ant ninja. So that is the main focus of why you're trying to search out Black Ant with that Kankuro. Because this card is kind of crazy. During your mission phase, you can discard one Puppet Ninja card from your village or your chakra area. It cannot be from the hand. It does just need to be village or chakra area, which is a little bit of a damper, but you can charge from your hand anyway, so it doesn't really matter. In that case, place a poison coin on one of your opponent's ninjas. If that ninja's entrance cost is 2 or less, discard that ninja. What a poison coin does is inherently, just by its rules, it prevents any ninja it's attached to from going out to battle. So that's pretty powerful a little later, but the main effect is that if the ninja you put it on is 2 or less entrance cost, you discard it outright. That essentially means that this Kankuro and Black Ant gets a 1 chakra, 2 damage jutsu every turn, every of your turns. That can't be negated because it's not actually a jutsu. It's not during the exchange of jutsu. It's just an effect that happens. What's more, in this version of the deck of puppets, you kind of want your puppets to be in the discard pile. So it's an immediate nerf, but in the long run, it is going to provide a benefit as well. So the reason this card is so powerful, besides just outright discarding some things, is that this card itself is a turn 3 ninja. So that means if you're going first, all of your opponent's ninjas probably are going to be turn 0, 1, or 2, which means every one of their ninjas is going to be a viable target to just straight up discard for 1 puppet chakra. And that's kind of insane. Assuming that a game goes on for maybe 5, 6, or even 7 turns, but let's say 5 just for easier math, each ninja you deploy is about 20% of the ninjas that you will deploy in the entire game. So if you can get this down and pay 1 chakra to kill one of their ninjas outright, you basically just cut their potential ninjas with deployment down by 20%. And that's crazy, especially since you can just keep doing this over and over again every single one of your turns. They're going to have probably 2 or 3 ninjas that you can target with this. So it's not even like you'll only be able to use it once or twice. It is limited to 1 on the untap and Midwest lists, which is why I only run 1. But honestly, the limitation isn't that big of a nerf. Having it at 1 just means that you can't bring it out again later, which at that point isn't really that big of a deal. So one of the only ways that can stop this is with negates, like missions. But like I was saying, with Father and Mother, as long as it's on the field, this card is protected since it is a Sand Ninja. So yeah, very powerful card. It's definitely the main focus of the early and mid game of this deck. So the next turn 3 in the main deck is going to be Sakura Haruno. She is a puppet, which I just think is hilarious. She's the only Sakura that is puppet in the entire game, but I just love that it's so on theme like that. Its effect is valid. During the exchange of Jutsu, you can discard 1 card or injure one of your ninjas. In that case, heal 1 other ninja. Sakura is about the only healing potential you have in this deck, which is kind of nice since a lot of your effects don't have valid. For example, Father and Mother is not valid. Kankuro Black Ant is not valid. So if either of them gets injured, their effect is turned off essentially. So it's nice to be able to heal. And Sakura's second effect is this ninja gets +2/+0 while in the same team as a Puppet Master Ninja. I haven't shown anything that has Puppet Master yet. It is reserved for higher turn manipulation ninjas. But Sakura is very strong. Being a 6/3 when she's with a Puppet Master is incredibly powerful. She does have the medicine combat attribute, which is not going to come into play in this specific deck, but it could with some other jutsus that you might come across and like. She is Leaf, like I said before, so she doesn't get the benefit of being protected by Father and Mother, but otherwise she is very good. That's why I run her at 2. She's not the best, but definitely a puppet that you want to see at some point in your game. Next turn 3 I run is a 3rd Kankuro. If I can get the black and gold to not be shiny. Its effect is, when this ninja is deployed, you can search for 1 puppet ninja card with an entrance cost of 3 or less in your deck, which is every puppet that we've shown so far. Place it in your hand. Then shuffle your deck. And its second effect is valid. During the exchange of Jutsu, you can place 1 puppet ninja card with an entrance cost of 3 or less from your hand in this ninja's team in any position. So this card is limited to 1 on both of the lists I play. And for good reason. Being able to put in play a puppet of turn 3 or less every single exchange of Jutsu is insanely strong. You could put in play a Sakura, you could put in play a Father and Mother, like I was saying, that would put it directly into a Manipulation Ninja's team, bypassing their ability to, comp strengths, attach a mission to negate its effect or something. And that's basically why I run this at all. Otherwise, I would definitely run 3 of the turn 0s. It's worth running at 1, but honestly, you don't see it very often, and trying to get Kankuro and Black Ant is usually so much more important that this is kind of just a comeback card. If your early game isn't going very well, this is definitely a card to try to get you back into it. It does have Sand. It does also have Jonin. It's one of the earliest Jonins in the entire game without being kind of cheese. And I don't run any Jonin-specific jutsus, but there are a lot that you could probably slide in without being too detrimental. So it's definitely worth thinking about. Last turn 3 I run is 1 Ebizo. This is a weird one. The Midwest list that I play on for this tournament Discord server uses the last official Midwest list from like 2013 or 12 or something, where Ebizo was legal. In the current list, he's no longer legal, and on Untap, he's no longer legal. So you might not be using this card if you're playing in any other setting. But for my purposes, I do have 1. And his effect is, When this ninja is put in play, you can select one of the Puppet Ninja cards from your chakra area and or discard pile and put it in play. That effect is why this card is limited to 1, even in this tournament list. It doesn't specify that it needs to be restricted by entrance cost. So any Puppet Ninja in the entire game, if it's in your chakra area or discard, you can put it in play. That's very strong because there are some very, very late game puppets that are like a 7-0 power that can turn the tide of the game easily on turn 3. That would make this a team of 10 on turn 3, which is kind of crazy. So this card is definitely kind of broken and probably shouldn't be allowed. It's also a Puppet Master. It's also a Sand Ninja, has manipulation obviously, and it's 3/3 or 2/2, which means it's also good to just sit in the back and support just as well as any other puppet. Mental power of 2, if that might come up. Yeah, overall just very strong, and honestly the reason I run a couple other cards later on that I might not run if he wasn't legal for this. Next on to turn 4s, I run 2 Chiyo. This is kind of a contentious one, but I do like how this works with the theme of the deck. Her effect is this ninja can only be organized into teams with puppet ninjas. So this has been slightly errated. They errated it to change the wording, not the actual intention of the effect. So the way it's worded on the card right now is implying that so long as there is a puppet in that team, she can go in that team, even if there are other ninjas that are not puppets. They changed it so that she can only be in a team with only puppets. So she can't be in the team with any other non-puppet ninjas, essentially. And her second effect is that Secret Skills Ninjas, which is the name of the effect she has here, and that there is a Sasori and Ebizo that has as well. They can organize with up to 4 ninjas in their team. So that's pretty good. If you have others on the field, she's not going to benefit too much from that in the optimal position, which is kind of awkward and clunky. But being able to organize with 3 other teammates to a team of 4 is kind of beneficial. She can be with Father and Mother and Sakura. Sakura would have a 6 combat because Chiyo is a Puppet Master. Plus Chiyo's 3 would be 9, plus Father and Mother's 3 would be 12, plus, say, Crow for a team of 15, which is insanely powerful. But you do have to make it kind of a little bit weird, and you'll see why when we get into the next few ninjas. She does have a mental power of 3, which is very good, and she has Surge, she's Sand, and obviously Puppet Master, like I said before. Next I have one other Chiyo, also a turn 4. Her effect is at the end of your turn, if your puppet ninjas have a combined entrance cost of 10 or more, you win 2 battle rewards. So this is the Chiyo that most people like to run. It's kind of easy to pump up your entrance cost with puppets because puppets is kind of a swarm deck, definitely with the Jutsus, with the Ebizo. But I run this Chiyo at 1, and I wouldn't run it if that Ebizo wasn't legal because it's just too easy to get a combined entrance cost of 10 or more with the Ebizo. Like I said, there are turn 6 puppets that I can just put into the chakra area, put into play with Ebizo, and now on turn 4, I probably have 2 or 3 others. I probably have 10 already just on turn 4. So winning 2 battle rewards just for that, for a card that I already want to use because it's busted and we'll bring out something else, it's very powerful. Its second effect is during your mission phase, you can pay 0 chakra. If you have 2 or less chakra, you can move up to 2 puppet ninjas from your discard pile to your chakra area. So this is kind of beneficial because, like I was saying, the later theme of the deck is kind of to get puppets into your discard pile. So with cards like Kankuro and Black Ant, you are going to be putting them in there already. So it's kind of beneficial to have them in there. You know, you use your chakra for jutsus, and then bring them back for more chakra and use them again, etc. So this is just a really powerful turn 4 card. For last turn 4, I run 1 Hiruko. He's the first Sasori kind of ninja, besides childhood. Its effect is, when this ninja is sent out to attack or is surged, you can select one of your opponent's ninjas. In that case, at the end of the turn, if that ninja was not sent out to battle during this turn, return it to its owner's hand. Its second effect is, Sasori ninja cards in your hand get growth. So these are both very good effects. Combining with Kankuro Black Ant means that because the poison coins prevent your opponent's ninjas from going out to battle, you can put a poison coin on them with Kankuro Black Ant, and then with Hiruko, you can call out that ninja when you go out to battle. That ninja can't go out to battle, so at the end of the turn, Hiruko sends them back to their hand, which is pretty powerful. It might as well be a kill because they have to use their turn to deploy it again. So Hiruko is definitely the third target that you want to search for with the turn 0 Kankuro, if you can. You would also want to search for Hiruko in the mid game if you have mission that I'll talk about when we get to it. But this is just a very strong combo. Hiruko is also a rogue ninja, so he's not sand, but he does have name Sasori. So he can use Sasori-based jutsus. I don't have any, but there is the option to run that. The nice thing about him is that his second effect gives all other Sasoris in your hand growth. For example, if you have the Sasori childhood down on your field, it can get kind of clunky if it's somehow survived until the late game and you want to play a Sasori. Well, you can't because you already have a Sasori on the field. This Hiruko is nice because giving the Sasoris in your hand growth, which they otherwise would not have, means that you can play this as long as you want, and whenever you want to bring out your Sasori, you can just move this to your chakra area, put the Sasori down, he even gets a growth coin. So he doesn't kind of bog down your field in having a name that you don't want to be there anymore. He's also Puppet Master, he's also Surge, he's Manipulation as well as Weapon. So he does count as a Puppet and as a Puppet Master, which gives him a lot of versatility as well. So on to turn 5s, I run 2 Monzaemon Chikamatsu. A lot of people don't run these. They are kind of clunky. Their effect is kind of win more and beat sticky, but I've had these for so long and I just love how they work. I think they're definitely usable, and people who, think that they're terrible are probably downplaying them just a bit. But its effect is, this ninja cannot be sent out to attack with a non-secret skills ninja. So first of all, that has been errated. The effect is nerfed to now it cannot be sent out to battle at all with a non-secret skills ninja. So already that's kind of a detriment. But there are ways around that I'll get into in a second. The second effect is head ninjas that battle this ninja are discarded at the end of the turn. Obviously that's very strong. It will make your opponent think twice before even going out to battle, because if they are going to, they must kill this ninja or their head ninja will die. Best case scenario for them, they're going to chump block and it's going to be discarded if it somehow survives anyway. Or they're going to have to reorganize their teams so that one of their non-beneficial ninjas is going to be in the front to die. Most importantly, its support is 10, which is the strongest support in the game without any sort of buffs. Even the nine-tailed fox spirit is 9/9, which is kind of crazy, especially for a turn 5 ninja that you can cheese out with Ebizo to just bring it out on turn 3. They couldn't battle together. Technically, they couldn't go out to battle together. But having 10 support and killing anyone you battle is kind of nuts. And also one of the main reasons I run 2 Yaokis, because Yaoki's effect lets you move a target puppet ninja in one of your other teams on the battlefield to this ninja's team. So if you have a Chiyo out who is in a team with Chikamatsu, and your opponent is just chump blocking, and you'd rather kill something more important that is attacking and being blocked by Yaoki, Yaoki can pay 1 chakra to pull this into his team. Because the only time Chikamatsu checks to see if it's legal to go out to battle is when it goes out to battle, not, during the exchange of jutsu or anything. So it can legally be pulled into this team and continue the fight as if it was there in the first place. So that's a really fun combo. And there are other jutsus that you can use to replicate that effect. There's a Puppet Master Jutsu that does exactly the same thing. 1 chakra, pull a puppet into another team. So I think this card is very beneficial. I do recognize that it's probably not the top meta, but I do think it's worth running. The second weird thing that I was talking about with Chiyo specifically is that Chiyo can organize into a team with 4 ninjas, but the way Chikamatsu is worded, it can only be in a team with secret skills ninjas. If Chiyo is in a team with another ninja that does not have secret skills as its effect, Chikamatsu cannot go out to battle with them, which means really the only way this can go out, unless it's with one of the other 2 secret skills ninjas, is if Chiyo's alone, which is kind of a detriment. It kind of makes Chiyo's entire second effect worthless. But honestly, the benefit of just having a 13 team that kills the head ninja at the end of the battle is worth it to me, even if it's kind of clunky. But like I said, there are 2 other secret skills ninjas that you could try to run. There's an Ebizo and there's a Sasori. So you could make it work if you really want this to function without nerfing the Chiyo. So the last turn 5 ninjas are Sasori himself. He has the Flashpoint effect, which is a newer effect released in set 26, I think. So what that means is while he's on the field during your mission phase, you can remove him from the game entirely, and his effect will activate at that point. And at the beginning of your next turn, he will come back into the field, which will then activate his second effect. So it's a pretty cool mechanic. It does leave you kind of vulnerable a little bit, but usually the effects are worth it for the trade-off. So his effect is valid. When this ninja is put into play except by deployment, you must discard 1 puppet ninja you control. Like I was saying, that's kind of the point of the deck in the late game. It is detrimental while you're trying to set up, obviously, because you are killing one of your own people. But Sasori's second effect, valid. When this ninja is removed from play, search your deck for a puppet ninja with an entrance cost less than this ninja's and move it to your village. Kind of makes up for it. So the entire effect is kind of based on the strategy that I'm going for here, where you're going to remove him, search for a puppet ninja, which is pretty much any ninja puppet ninja that I've shown so far. You could bring out Father and Mother. You can bring out Crow, Black Ant, Salamander, whatever you want. And then when he comes back in, you can kill something else. Like if you have an injured Black Ant, that's not very helpful anymore. Or even a ninja that you want to put into your discard pile for the strategy that's going to be coming up. So he's very powerful, 5'4". He's got great support if he wants to be in the back, great offense if he wants to be in the front. He is not sand, unfortunately, so he doesn't get the protection, but he does a mental power of 3, which is really strong, especially since a lot of puppets, or none of the puppets, have mental power. You're not just totally screwed by a mental power deck because you have Sakura, Chiyo, Sasori, etc. He has Puppet Master and Manipulation, obviously. So it's just a very beneficial card for the late game. And the last of the ninjas, turn 6, is going to be the third Kazekage. It's a puppet ninja. It does have mastery, which means when he uses a jutsu, you can pay 1 more you can pay 1 more chakra of the same color as that jutsu, and then move that jutsu back to your hand. That is only available once per turn, but getting a jutsu back that you've used is very beneficial. Its effect is, when an opponent's ninja would be moved to their hand by an effect, you can move it to your battle reward area face down instead. So like I was saying with Sasori Childhood, because this effect is you can move it to your hand, to your battle rewards area, it is only once per turn. But again, that is once per instance. So if 3 cards are moved to the hand somehow in one effect, you can get all 3 of those. But otherwise, it is mostly just going to be once per turn. So the good combo with this card that you want to set up, and it seems like it would be more difficult than it actually is the same combo that I was talking about before. Kankuro puts a poison coin on a ninja, so they can't battle. Hiruko calls them out, and if they don't battle, they go back to the hand. But now, while the third Kazekage is on the field, when they go back to the hand from Hiruko's effect, they will actually be moved to your battle rewards area instead. So just a very powerful combo. This is the target I was talking about for Ebizo, because he can be on the field on turn 3, which means all of these ninjas can be on the field by turn 4, and actually very easily, since the turn 0 Kankuro can search for Hiruko, can search for the Black Ant to bring this out, could even search for the third Kazekage if you wanted to pull him to your hand so you can put him into the chakra to use with Ebizo. So it's just very powerful. There are a few jutsus that move to the hand that we'll get into, but otherwise 7-3 is just very strong. He has the sand combat attribute if you ever wanted to use that for like a Gara deck or something. I know a lot of people will run this in like sand decks. And he has Satusa, if you ever need that kind of requirement for something else. Once again, probably a sand deck. So yeah, just a very strong final puppet. First jutsu I run is Tsuchigumo style Forbidden Jutsu Release Big Bang. It's a staple for any lightning or wind deck. It's limited to 1 on both of the lists. Its effect is charge 1 card, in that case draw 2 cards, and its chakra cost is 1 wind or 1 lightning. It's just very beneficial to be able to trade this for 2 more draws that you might have, and charging a card from your hand into your chakra is not a detriment in this deck specifically, because you could probably just put a puppet into your chakra to use for Kankuro and Black Ant's effect. And then at the end of the turn, being neutral in card advantage in your hand and +1 to chakra is just very strong. I recommend it for any lightning or wind deck. Second jutsu is Substitution by Puppet. It's 1 wind and 1 colorless chakra. I run 2 of them. Requirements are manipulation, which is going to be any of your Puppet Masters, your Kankuros, your Sasori Childhoods, Hiruko, Chiyo, whatever. Search your deck for 1 Puppet Ninja card and discard it. Again, on theme, not a detriment exactly. It's also going to thin your deck for cards you might not want to draw into. Then shuffle your deck. In that case, every ninja in the user's team, including the user, cannot be removed from play or receive damage due to your opponent's effects during this turn. So that's very strong because it's basically blanket immunity from jutsus. Obviously, there are some effects that could still go off, but the ones that you're most scared of are going to be removal from play and damage, which these are both going to prevent. So this will also prevent ninja effects. There's like a might guy that can give you 2 battle rewards and just kill a ninja. This would prevent that because it can't be removed from play, can't take damage. So just a very helpful jutsu, and like I said, kind of sets up for the late game, which I know I have not talked about yet. Then I run 2 Poison Senbon streams. It costs 2 wind, and its requirements are Puppet or a Puppet Master. Target 1 ninja battling against the user, and the effect is give 1 damage to the target, then flip a coin. If heads, the target becomes a standby ninja. If tails, draw 1 card. And with an expert effect, meaning if the person listed as the expert user uses this jutsu, in this case it's Hiruko, you choose the result of the coin flip instead. So giving 1 damage is definitely worth the 2 chakra outright, but the coin flip is very beneficial because you can make 1 ninja standby ninja, which means not only would their power not be added to the team during the showdown, but also if they're using a jutsu and you make them into a standby ninja, that jutsu no longer functions, it fizzles and it will go to chakra. which is very helpful. It's basically a negate in itself. And its second effect of drawing one card is just always beneficial, like we've talked about. So it's definitely handy to use just for the damage. You might not specifically want to do the coin flip, just trying to get lucky, like if they're using a jutsu, but in a pinch, it's 50-50 shot of working, and even in the worst case, you probably are going to draw a card anyway. And with Hiruko, you get to pick, so maybe you just want to draw, maybe you need to put somebody on standby. It's up to you. You get to decide. Next, I run 2 Puppet Summonings. It's also 2 wind. Requirements are Puppet Master plus an entrance cost of 3 or more. This jutsu is kind of hard to pull off. Your Puppet Masters are going to be turn 3 or higher, so you might draw into this and might be a dead card early on. But its effect is pretty good. Search your deck for 1 Puppet Ninja card and move it into the user's team in any position. Already, that is fantastic. At the end of the turn, if the user did not have secret skills, which is just the 2 Chiyos that I play, move that Puppet Ninja to your hand. And the expert effect for Chiyo is draw 2 cards. Drawing is very good. What you're typically going to want to do is have Chiyo on the field use this, pull a Chikamatsu into the team so that you can get the +10 off of this jutsu. Keep the Chikamatsu because this card does not specify that you need to follow entrance cost rules. And then because Chiyo has secret skills, you get to keep that ninja. And then because Chiyo used it, you get to draw 2 cards. So that's kind of just thematically what it's going for anyway. That's probably the perfect setup it wants you to do. But it's just a very good card if you can pull it off. Otherwise, you might not see it very often. Next, I run 2 Puppet Master Jutsus. Just like with all cards, there are other Puppet Master Jutsus that are a different actual card. But as long as it has the same exact name, you can only run 3 of them. So just keep that in mind. This card specifically is limited to 2 on both of the lists that I play for good reason. Its effect is requirements, manipulation, combat attribute, plus an entrance cost of 3 or more. So it's going to be like your Ebizo, your Chiyo, your Sasori, your Hiruko. Reveal the top 7 cards of your deck and place any number of Puppet Ninja cards among them in the user's team in any position. Then shuffle your deck. At best, this could just give you 7 Puppet Ninjas outright, which is kind of ridiculous. The way this card's rules interact with other rules, if any of those 7 cards are duplicates of puppets, even if they don't have a non-unique characteristic, they will still be put into play at the same time. So you could have 2 Sakuras that are not non-unique. If they're both found by this jutsu, they will both be put onto the field because the uniqueness checker only activates when they're put in play, and they're put in play simultaneously. So they don't, know that the other one is going to be there also. Which is stupid. I think that's not a ruling that is correct, but that is officially the ruling, which makes this card insanely strong. Once again, like the others, it doesn't specify any entrance cost that you have to stick to when pulling them onto the field. So you can bring out anything that you can possibly bring out, which is kind of crazy. And the last jutsu I run is Hydro Pump. Kind of a staple for most decks, so it's just handy that it's a puppet decks, jutsu specifically. Costs 3 wind or 4 of any chakra. The entire deck is wind, so you will just be playing the 3 unless you want to get a 4th card into your discard pile. Requirements, entrance cost are 5 or more. So that's just going to be your Sasori, your Chikamatsu, and your 3rd Kazekage. But there is a caveat that you can kind of get around for this that I'll get into later. Target is 2 ninjas. That is 2 ninjas anywhere. They don't have to be on the battlefield. They don't have to be opposing. They can be anywhere. They can be your ninjas if you want. Effect, move the target to its owner's hand. Now, with the 3rd Kazekage, like I was mentioning before, that means these 2 ninjas will both be available to move to your battle rewards area because they're both being moved in the same instance. So this is just a very good effect to use with that card too. And the expert effect, Puppet Master, discard the target instead. A good alternative if you don't have the third Kazekage on the field. Discarding them is just straight up better than putting them back in the hand. But honestly, being put into the hand is essentially a death sentence anyway. So the first missions I run are turn 1 missions. It's going to be Hidden Village of the Wind. I run 2 of them. And I forgot to mention earlier, but Hydro Pump is limited to 1 on both of the lists. So Hidden Village of the Wind is a turn 1 hand cost. It's a permanent mission. Its effect is, during your mission phase, you can apply one of the following effects according to the number of your in-play sand ninjas, which, like I was saying earlier, is pretty much everything except for Sakura and the Sasoris, except for Sasori Childhood. 3, your sand ninjas get +1/+1 during this turn and the next turn. That's just a very good effect for pumping up your numbers. For a team, it's probably a +3 to the entire team, which is very helpful. Then for 4, you get to draw 1 card. Drawing a card on every mission phase is kind of ridiculous and pretty easy for how easily puppets swarm the field. I was just saying there's a jutsu that could put 7 onto your field in 1 turn if possible. 5+, your opponent must select one of their in-play ninjas and discard it. Obviously, that's just a very strong effect. Killing 1 person per turn, kind of nuts. 2, if you have Kankuro Black Ant, and you could still do that. Kind of an insane combo together. So it's just a very solid early mission. I run 2 Sasori of the Red Sand. It's a turn 2 mission with 1 hand cost. And its effect is, search your deck for 1 manipulation ninja card, reveal it, move it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So I run 2 of these because you're going to want to find Kankuro to go into Kankuro and Black Ant by at least turn 3. And Sasori of the Red Sand can be very helpful in doing that. You can search for Kankuro, even the turn 0 one on turn 2, deploy it, use its search abilities, search out Black Ant, deploy that on the next turn, turn 3, and then immediately squad into Kankuro and Black Ant. So its entrance cost is pretty perfect for what it's going to do. And in the late game, you can search for Sasori, you can search for Ebizo, even on turn 2 to try to cheese out like third Kazekage. You can search for a Chiyo if you need it. You can search for Hiruko if you need it. So it's just very helpful and definitely can both bring you back and keep you in the game. I run 3 Loss. It's a very generic wind staple. Its effect is draw 2 cards. Simple, easy, good. I run 2 Entrustment. Turn 3, 1 hand cost, so it's a little later, but its effect is draw 2 cards, the same as Loss. Then, if you have 3 or more ninjas with the same symbol, so element, the wind symbol, which all of your ninjas are, draw 1 card. So it's essentially a draw 3 on turn 3. Which you're going to have most of the time. Otherwise, it is just a draw 2, which is strictly exactly as good as Loss, just 1 turn later. But hopefully you will be able to get the benefit of the extra effect. I run 1 Kankuro's Puppet Show. This is a counter mission, which means you can only use it on your opponent's mission phase. But that means that you won't have to waste your mission that you get once per turn on your turn. So that's pretty helpful. It's a turn 3 and 1 hand cost, and it is target 1, 1 ninja or in-play mission, and target 2 is one of your ninjas with an entrance cost equal to or higher than target 1's. The effect is, move target 1 and target 2 to their owner's hand. If target 2 was a sand ninja, your target, draw 1 card. So this is just a basically snipe mission. If your opponent has a ninja on the field that he's never going to want to send out to battle because it's just there to do something bad for you, to do something that boosts his people, maybe that they're saving to use in a jutsu clash later on and try to win the game, They don't have to be on the battlefield. You don't have to wait for them to slip up. You can just outright kill it if you have a ninja of similar entrance cost. And once again, like with Hydro Pump, if you have the third Kazekage and you pull this off, that ninja is going to go to the battle rewards area instead. So that will even remove its ability to come back later, which is very strong. I do only run one because a lot of the times you're not going to want to essentially kill your own person just to kill one of theirs. So it is kind of just a tech for specific things you need to get rid of at a moment's notice. And the last two missions I've run, last two cards in the deck, are Kankuro's Tenacity. This is a turn 4 mission, which is pretty late for missions that you're going to want to be running, unless they're very specific to your deck. But its effect is draw 2 cards and move 1 wind ninja in your discard pile to your hand. So already that's pretty good. The draw 2 is obviously good. It's just like loss and entrustment off the bat. But moving 1 wind ninja in your discard pile to your hand is very beneficial because you're going to want to have been pumping your discard with wind puppets already. So if you just happen to pump something in there, trying to thin out your deck a little bit, this is a way to get it back. Almost more importantly, though, the second effect is while this card's in your chakra area, your Kankuro gets +2 entrance cost. So that will make your Kankuro and Black Ant a turn 5, actually, which means it's valid as a target to use Hydro Pump, which is kind of important because pulling off a Hydro Pump on turn 3 with Kankuro and Black Ant already being able to remove ninjas from the field kind of can just win you the game outright. And because this only needs to be in the chakra area to function, it doesn't even matter what turn it is. This could be in the chakra area turn 1 for entrance cost, and your turn 0 Kankuro would technically be a turn 2 Kankuro. This also obviously makes the turn 3 Kankuro that I showed a turn 5 as well. It's not just the Kankuro and Black Ant. So I do run 2 of these just because that's a very beneficial effect to have and a good buff. Especially because there are other jutsus and ninjas that might activate based on your entrance cost. So lastly, getting into the reinforcement deck, obviously the first one is the Kankuro and Black Ant that I showed earlier. But I do run 1 Sakura and Chiyo. The numbers that I'm telling you are basically because that's what I own. And I've mostly only played these in a casual setting. But for a tournament setting, you would want, well, you can only have 1 Kankuro and Black Ant. But you would want to run 3 of the rest because there are ninjas and I think some jutsus that can remove your reinforcement deck from the game before you get them out. But I only run 1 because I only own 1. And its effect is, when any of your teams with 1 or more puppet ninjas wins any victory, you win 1 battle reward and draw 1 card. It's a pretty good effect, but I do only own 1 because a lot of the times you're not going to want to go into this. Having Chiyo and Sakura separately on the field, Sakura being a 6'3", I forget, having 6 power at least. With a Chiyo that can have secret skills, can organize up to 4 ninjas, and needs to be there for Chikamatsu, you're probably not going to want to go into this unless you're in the very, very late game strategy or, ironically, kind of in a desperate situation. This is kind of a consolation prize. I do have 2 Sasori puppet modes. These are not playable in the deck as I have it and have presented today. There is one specific, it's a Chibi Sasori that I'll have in the link in the description. And that's actually the only way to bring out this Sasori. I took that Sasori out for this version because I've never gone into this. You pretty much only go into this card for its second effect. When this ninja is removed from play, draw 2 cards. Even though its main effect is very beneficial. When this ninja is sent out to attack, each player moves 1 of their ninjas to their owner's hand at the end of the turn. So that is kind of good with the third Kazekage. But honestly, it just doesn't really fit with the theme of the deck I'm going for. And being only, summonable with the effect of the Chibi Sasori, it doesn't have like sacrifice, so it can't come out naturally. Does just kind of put a damper on it. Otherwise, though, it does have mastery, which is very good. It is a Jonin, just like the rest of the Sasoris, mental power 3, just like the rest, and is a Puppet Master. So it is worth it. I just personally don't run anymore, which means you have room for 2 more copies of this Sasori Puppet mode. So this is the Sasori that you're going to be aiming for. This is kind of the main focus of the deck. Its effect is sacrifice Sasori plus an interest cost of 5 or more to bring it out. So Hiruko does not count. It must be the actual Sasoris that you have. When this ninja is put in play, move all puppet ninja cards from your discard pile to your village. Ninja cards moved this way are moved as if they had non-unique. So that is the end game of this deck. Besides getting out like Kankuro Black Ant, your entire purpose is going to be to fill your discard pile with puppet ninja cards so that you can deploy this on turn 7 and swarm your field with 30 puppets, and essentially the game is over at that point. You'll have, like, at best case scenario, you'll have 2 Chikamatsu's puppets, you'll have 3 crows, 2 black ants, 2 salamanders to protect you. You could bring Hiruko back because he's given non-unique. So essentially you're going to be playing with every ninja in your deck on the field, and hopefully at that point you can win. So yeah, that's the main focus of this. And with the other 2 Sasoris being probably not included in your deck, you should have 3 copies of this one. Worth noting, if you do run a version that runs this Sasori, there used to be a strategy where you'd bring out the Sasori and then immediately sacrifice it for this Sasori to get the +2 in draw, and then get the benefit of the Sasori coming out anyway on the same turn. That is no longer a legal strategy. They actually changed the rules of the game to say that if you are using reinforcement ninjas, they cannot sacrifice for a ninja of the exact same name, which I think is kind of a baby move, but that is how they've decided it works. So specifically because of the Sasori, you cannot go from one puppet mode Sasori to another puppet mode Sasori. So just keep that in mind if you do run. There are a couple other suggestions that I'll have in the description untap list. There are other reinforcements you could go into, other strategies that I kind of touched upon a little bit. But overall, that is the entire deck. So if you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the comments down below. If I ever post a different version later on with changes, I will link it down below as well, just so that you know the current up-to-date version I'm running. Otherwise, stay tuned. I have a lot of fun with this. I love this game, and I'll definitely be making more videos for you guys to watch in the future. I have a lot of weird ideas, and I think some strategies that are off meta but can work in a meta sense, and that I try to get to work as competitively as possible. So stick around, and I'll see you next time.